Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash, and I want to say Shalom to Akim and Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This is the part 2 of yesterday's lesson titled Thanksgiving, an Annual Celebration of Native Genocide. Now, yesterday it started getting, up to about the hour point, and I like to close off right around then, just because I feel like that's the perfect viewing time. A lot of people, if it's longer than that, they generally they either won't watch the full video, or, they won't watch it at all, right, because it's so long. So I like to leave off around an hour. I feel like an hour is a good time. When I watch lessons, I usually look for ones that are about an hour, specifically because I try to watch one through instead of getting like 5 or so many, like a 10-minute one, a 30-minute one, a 20-minute one. Hear it. So I like to get like an hour in, so I can hear a lot about the same topic. All right, instead of many things about many topics. And I'll do the other ones as well, the mini ones. But if I see a longer video that goes in like a deep dive, so to speak, not necessarily a deep dive, but longer into one subject, I'll generally watch those, as I feel like I can learn more from those. That's just me. That's just a personal thing. So I guess that's how I make my videos, just based off of how I learn, I guess. And Lord willing, it's edifying. But I said I didn't know if I was going to come back later that night or the next day. And here it is, the next day, en route to work. Now, we only really had a couple things to touch up more. Depending on what we wanted to get on. There was a lot of stuff that I was looking through on the computer, and a lot of it was kind of in the same vein of what we were talking about, so I didn't want to get that. But there was a couple more things I did want to talk about as far as Native American slavery as well. All right, with the Gadites, because a lot of people think only the so-called Negroes, so-called black folk, went through slavery. All right, but it was all of our brethren, our brothers, through seed line, all right, have been through slavery or captivity, at some point in time, with the whites or other nations as well, but most notably these whites, all right, so these Edomites, and we're going to touch a little bit on that. So right off the bat, I want to go ahead and I was going to touch a little bit more on this, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily what I'm going to do. I did want to read a little bit more because I did show it yesterday, but it's we didn't really touch on this one because it's really similar to the first one we got. But it's titled, this is from Time. It says, the first Thanksgiving story covers up the all too real violence in early America. And you can see that's actually where I got the photo for these lessons. And it says, you see them talk a lot more about the Pilgrims and the Wampanoags. And they say right here, you can see this year marks 400 years since English Pilgrims and Wampanoags allegedly sat down to a 3-day feast in the territory. And remember, allegedly. Okay, allegedly. So, and we read a lot about this. Now, really, I wanted to get down here at this part, saying, it says, but the focus on 1621 distorts our understanding of the past by emphasizing peaceful coexistence between newly arrived English migrants and already settled Wampanoags. Annual celebrations of Thanksgiving have perhaps unintentionally minimized the violence inherent in colonization. So they made it seem like it's a nice thing, right? So it says, the 1619 Project of the New York Times has shown a light on the harrowing truths of enslavement and its legacy. In a similar vein, we might ask, how does our understanding of early American history look if we put conflicts between indigenous and newcomers at the center of the story? While it might be comforting to think that there were times when indigenous Americans and European colonists coexisted in peace, violence was common, not exceptional, in a territory that would eventually become the United States. So, if you want to continue to read more about this, I'm sure it's going to talk about individual occurrences that had happened. And there was many different things that happened in this colonization era. Okay, and you can see that I typed in colonial enslavement of the Native Americans, It says that this is the AI overview. Colonial enslavement of Native Americans refers to the widespread practice of European colonists in the Americas capturing and forcing indigenous people, Gadites, right? And, Negroes scattered among them as well, so-called Negroes, right? People into slavery, particularly during the colonial period, where they were used as a labor force on plantations, see that? And in settlements, often through warfare and capturing those who surrendered or were considered enemies. This practice occurred across various colonies, including the Carolinas, New England, and the territories of the Spanish and French, significantly impacting Native American populations and societies. And I don't remember if it's the one we read yesterday, but there's, in some of all the research that I've done during this process, admittedly not too much, but one of the ones I read, and I don't know if it was in that article or the one we're going to read, but it talks about, the brutal enslavement and murder and genocide that was also at the hands of the Spanish, all right? And the Spanish were Edomites as well. Now, they kind of forced themselves and usurped themselves into being considered Latin, all right, or Latino, or Latina, all right? But they're really just Edomites, right? So you can go and read more about all these different things. Pretty good AI overview. And from here, they have this Brown University. All right, the colonial enslavement of Native Americans included those who surrendered too. So this is from Brown University. It says this is an image from 1595 depicting conflict between. This is the one. This is the one I didn't end up reading. It says between Native Americans in Mexico and Spanish colonists led by Francisco de Montejo. So right off the bat, I want to go ahead and get a scripture, okay? Because we're pulling up to the worksite soon. And I wanted to get this out, because we're talking about, yesterday's lesson was more about the slaughter and the murder that they've done, but there was also a lot of colonial enslavement that was done. These devils like to enslave and to steal people, okay? And Exodus 21:16 directly says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And these are the same things that were removed from the select Bible, select scriptures for use in the for the Negro in the transatlantic slave trade or whatever, in American plantation, however what was the slave Bible called? Full name, Slave Bible. And that's where modern day Christianity came from. Select parts of the Holy Bible for use of the Negro slaves in the British West India Islands. And if that ain't about a name, that ain't about a title of a book. All right, so select parts of the Bible for the use of the Negro slaves in the British West India Islands. So that was the slave Bible. All right, there were certain things that they could know, certain things that they couldn't know. They never wanted to put to the position where they knew that slaves would know that God was above these people. All right, they basically wanted to be God. All right, he sits in the throne of the Most High and saying that I shall be like the Most High. Right, roughly paraphrasing. That's who these devils are. All right, but the Most High, what has that scripture go? Like the Most High. So let's get in the King James Version. This is the devil. It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell. And hell is, the punishment of death. Or future punishment. No point does that ever mean a pit where you burn forever and ever. There's two definitions of hell. One is the definition of the grave. It means the grave. The other definition would be a place of future punishment. In this case, Babylon is going to be the primary place of future punishment. So they are brought down to the grave. So yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. So the grave, right? So there you go. So that's what these devils do. They're enslavers. All right, they're slavers, and that's what they like to do. So it says, just skipping down a little bit. It says, I'll read a little bit. So Providence, RI, Brown University. It says, Rhode Island. It says a study by Linford D. Fisher, associate professor of history at Brown University, finds that Native Americans, including non-combatants, meaning that people that weren't fighting, who surrendered during King Philip's War to avoid enslavement, were enslaved at nearly the same rate as captured combatants. It doesn't matter if you were fighting or not; they just wanted slaves. Okay, and that's the thing you need to understand with these devils. They just like enslavement. That's one of their favorite things to do. It says Native American slavery is a piece of the history of slavery that has been glossed over, Fisher said. Between 1492 and 1880, between 2 and 5.5 Native Americans were enslaved in the Americas, in addition to 12.5 million African slaves. And again, so, all of our people, and even Latinos, so we were all enslaved alongside each other, and they really try to put that up as it was just the so-called Negroes that they were enslaved. But no, they enslaved all of our people. Okay, and that's the one thing you're going to understand, is that at the end of the day, we are Israelites. We're brothers and sisters at the end of the day. We all went through this together. Now, of course, it was primarily targeted at the so-called Negroes, all right, with 12.5 million Judite, they say African, slaves. But we were all subjected to slavery in some type of way. So I'm actually leave it there. And then we'll come back and get these 3 scriptures. I could get another one, but I don't want to interrupt the flow of it. So we're going to leave it right there, and I'm going to come back, Lord willing, and I'll piece it together for you in just a moment. All right, until then, Lord willing, shalom. All right, shalom, we're back. So I was just, right before I started up this lesson, I was actually reading a little bit more, or I restarted it back up. I was reading a little bit more of this, and I'm going to go ahead and scroll up. So, again, we read about the between 1492 and 1880, between 2 and 5.5 million Native Americans were enslaved in the Americas, in addition to 12.5 million so-called Negro slaves, right? As that are the face of the transatlantic slave trade. They try to keep it as just the so-called Negroes, but we were all enslaved together, and they really don't want to. They've already got the slack from the Native Americans and the transatlantic slave trades, the so-called Negroes. They don't want to lump us in together and just make it. They don't want to seem to be like it has more interconnection together, because really Esau, they like to divide. Okay, now we know in the scriptures the Lord said, I come not to bring peace but rather division. But there was always, while there was animosity and inner animosities between the tribes in the past, we were always united as Israel. Okay, and in the future, there's all that, in the kingdom, all that intertribal animosity is going to go away. You're not going to have, the southern and northern king having issues with issues and troubles with each other anymore, as you see now and was going in the past. So-called Mexicans having so-called issues with so-called black folk, and so on. Right? We're going to be brotherly as we're supposed to be being, but I imagine that's probably one of the main reasons that they don't want you to know. I can't think of a reason why they. I know that they're trying to make themselves not look as evil as possible, but we know with the Native American slaughter, we know about the transatlantic slave trade and all the slaughter that would happen with that. I don't know why they necessarily try to separate the two. I don't know what the reasoning behind that is, and maybe it makes them look extra bad. I mean, these devils are always bad. Nothing you can do to make you. I guess you could look worse, but the devil's the devil at the end of the day, so you're always just going to look bad. There's no way to make yourself look good, especially when you read back in the history on these devils, right? They have spilt a ton of blood and done a lot of killing. So it says, while natives had, and this part reading on down was very interesting, especially coming down to this part right here. But it says, while natives had been first into slavery and servitude as early as 1636, as they say, it says it was not until King Philip's War that natives were enslaved in large numbers. Fisher wrote in the study. The 1675 to 1676 war pitted Native American leader King Philip, also known as Metacom, against his allies against the English colonial settlers. During the war, this is where it gets really interesting, and this is the part I was really reading before I started the lesson back up. It says, during the war, New England colonies routinely shipped Native Americans as slaves to Barbados, Bermuda, Jamaica, I guess that's Azores, Spain, and Tangier in North Africa, Fisher said. Now this part coming up, this is really interesting. It says, while Hebrews, all right, so-called Negroes, right, not Africans, were enslaved, did not know where they would be taken. You could be taken anywhere, right? It says Native Americans understood that they could be sent to the Caribbean plantations and face extremely harsh treatment, far from their homes and communities, according to the study. Said fear of this fate spurred some Native Americans to pledge to fight to the death, while some others surrendered, hoping to avoid being sent overseas, the study found. Fisher study, why shall we have peace to be made slaves, appears to, said Nevada discuss, yada, 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 right? It was documented, Native American enslavement was documented in colonial correspondence, shipping records, court cases, town records, colonial government orders, and petitions from colonists to the British government. And it's probably part of this fighting to the death that really made, the whole savage word come out. Oh, they're savage, animalistic, beast-like creatures. Well, if you don't know where you're going to be sent to, you're going to be sent to some strange land and foreign land, and you're in this battle with your oppressor. You're probably going to fight to the death, because if they don't kill you, where you stand now, you'll probably be killed later or subject to things that you wish you would have just died for. Like things that happened with the so-called Negro, being buck broke, and having Mandingo fights and all these different terrible things that they've done to our people. In some of those cases, death is a more what's the word I'm looking for? A sought after thing. All right, for lack of a better word, my words are failing me right now. But is a more is like a less harsh treatment at that point. Would you rather be buck broke and have be graped as a man, or would you rather be dead? Most people are going to choose dead and not to be graped, right? So, or other sick and twisted things that they've done. So there's a lot of this. It's a really interesting article. Again, I'm not going to read all of it because it is quite deep, as you can see. There's a lot of it. But again, this is from Brown University, or brown.edu, so you can go and look this up. You can't say it's some type of bullshit. You can't say it's bullshit. You can't say it's a lie. You can't say it's made up. This is literally from Brown. All right, this is a Ivy League school. It's respected. All right, and so you can't argue with this. They're not going to put out something that's wrong. But I did want to touch on this. This is another thing I wanted to touch on, and then basically grab some scriptures and close out. Was this Mystic massacre? Speaking about the Pequot, or the Pequot, I think that's how it was pronounced. Just pronounced not too long ago. But one of the massacres that happened in 1637. So it says the Mystic massacre, also known as the Pequot massacre, and the Battle of Mystic Fort took place on May 26, 1637, during the Pequot War, when a force from the Connecticut colony under Captain John Mason, okay, and you can see Edomite, colonizer, and their Narragansett and Mohegan allies set fire to the Pequot Fort near the Mystic River. It says they shot anyone who tried to escape the wooden palisade fortress and killed most of the village. There were between 400 and 700 Pequots killed during the attack. The only Pequot survivors were warriors who were away in a raiding party with their Sachem Sassacus. Okay, and you can go ahead and see it. You can look in the massacre and everything like that. And then with this image being one of the ones used, I'm actually going to save that for today's picture. And you see they paint it. They make paintings out of it. And when was this painting made? Does it say? 1637. It was it wasn't in 1637, but that's it's depicting the thing that happened in 1637. I was like, damn, they were really, really on top of their painting. They painted that shit right after. But I wouldn't be surprised, because Edomite does that shit to commemorate that type stuff. It says you can look through it and read into it. And there's more events. If you go down to the bottom, it'll give you other events, or related articles. They don't give us any about this, but it was an attack on the Native American peoples. Okay, and 400 to 700 people, and that's just 400 to 700 as far as we know. Right, as far as we know. And these devils have spilled a lot of blood, all right? And the thing is, when you tell people that, the white man is going to be put to death, all right, and the so-called white man, all right, with, being the Edomites, that's who they really are. They just go by the so-called white man. when you tell them that they're going to be put to death, when you tell them that they're going to go into captivity, when you tell them that, what they've done is going to come back and bite them in the ass, and while we're not going to be doing the sick and twisted stuff as far as like weird sexual depravity, they will be being put to death. They will be subjected to slavery and captivity. When you tell them that, they act like it's the worst thing in the world, but they colonized and tortured everyone. All right, specifically, mostly on the biggest scale, the Hebrew Israelites, but they've done it to the so-called Asians as well, the so-called Arabs. They've done it to everybody. They've done it to us, the Israelites, the most, but they've done it to everybody. They've even done it to themselves. Okay, this is the devil we're talking about. They're extremely wicked, but they've done it to most to us. All right, we have been the blunt of the biggest amount of extreme torture and bloodshed and disgusting depravity at their hands. It's always us. All right, they target us a lot. So Numbers 35 and 33 says, "So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it." So it says it right here, but when we go and talk about these things, they act like it's sacrilegious, like we're going off, like we're wicked, we're not coming in the spirit of the Lord. And it says it right here in the Bible. This is Numbers 35 and 33. This isn't from any other book. All right, we didn't go and get this from a book at Target or Walmart. We didn't pull this off the shelf at Barnes & Noble and just start reading from some book. This is the Bible we're talking about, okay? If you pollute the land with blood, it's going to be cleansed by your blood. That's the only way, all right? It pollutes the land, and it cannot be cleansed. What does it say? "And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it." Your blood has to be spilled for atonement. Your blood has to be spilled for atonement, all right? It cannot be cleansed, all right? Not really atonement, but really kind of atonement. That's the only way of, it's not really a repentance for you, but the only way that things can be made right, all right? Because we can make things right by the Lord through atonement, through prayer, all right, and repentance. You, on the other hand, you can't pray or do anything like that. So the only way there's going to be any sort of atonement in any type of way made for your wrong is by your death and your captivity and your subjugation under us, all right, under Israelite rule and your punishment. That's the only sort of atonement process that's ever going to really be a thing for you. And it's really enacting a right for a wrong, all right, is what atonement is. And so the thing that has to happen, you did wrong, and the thing that has to happen to make it right is that you have to be subject unto us. You have to be in captivity. We have to rule over you for a period of 1,000 years, and then you go away permanently, done, vaporized, never to come back or return as a nation. Okay, now mind you, well, everyone's going to have that happen? No. The Chinese aren't going to go away. The Moabites, they're not going to go away after 1,000 years. Now they're going to be in 1,000 years of extremely hardcore bondage as well, and like all nations, all right, other than the Israelites are going to be in. But after 1,000 years, they get to dwell in a dwelling land, all right, and we're going to still be over them and ruling over them, but they're not going to be in that hardcore bondage status that they're going to be in that 1,000 years. I'm sure we'll still have some of them for servants of some sorts, but I'm sure they'll get some type of compensation for that money of some sort. Kind of like live-in servant and stuff like that. After that 1,000-year period, we're still going to be in rule over them, but they're not going to be in that hardcore bondage and slavery. All right, it's just not a thing that we do like that. All right, but we are going to get our I don't want to say get our lick back, but in a worldly term, we are gonna get our get back. All right, and we're gonna get it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai for that 1,000 years, and you're going to be subject unto us essentially forever, all nations, all right? But as far as being, brutal, hardcore bondage, that's going to be a period of 1,000 years. And all the other nations get to stay around after that period and go back and dwell in their land, still under our rule. And mind you, they're going to like it when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn, all right? When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, all right? Roughly paraphrasing. Right now, the wicked are in rule. That's why everybody's mourning and everybody's in a terrible situation. So after that 1,000-year period of hardcore bondage, the nations are actually going to prefer a rule under us than under you, okay? Because the food's going to be good, okay? They're not going to be eating poisoned foods. They're not going to have poisoned water. They're going to be able to get real medicine without taking something that makes your fucking asshole fucking blow out and fly across the room like a fucking deflated balloon, or give you some fucking insane eye bleeding, or make your fucking wiener shrink like fucking, 7 inches in a day. So it's always some crazy shit, or gastrointestinal bleeding, or urinary tract infection. Like, all the medicines here aren't even medicines. They just cause something fucking awful to happen. And it's always like, there are medicines out there that can, like, cause some crazy shit, like anal seepage and loss of control of bowels, and uncontrollable bleeding. Like, why the fuck would you? That's not a medicine. God damn, that's a poison. What, you don't get a headache anymore? Well, yeah, probably because you'll be fucking dead. It's ridiculous. And so when they need healing, we'll be able to heal through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, and through herbal healing, and give them that real healing. And mind you, they're one of the only people other than us that actually use that true, and us, of course, including the Native Americans, that use that true natural herbal medicine. Is one of the people that is known for that, is that traditional Chinese medicine, as they call it. And they have a lot of good stuff, that traditional Chinese medicine. Now, some of it's fucking crazy. Oh, if you grind up rhino horn, you get real big boner. That's weird. Okay, that's some weird shit. And no one was doing that historically. No one was doing that historically. But they have good things like ginkgo, and different roots like that and stuff, and ginseng, and all these different things that can actually be beneficial to you, if used in the correct way. So we're gonna go back to a state of peace and harmony, in a state where things should be in. Now, Esau, under his rule, everything's completely out of order, man. It's out of order. Out of order. Everything is out of order. There's nothing that is in order, okay? The only thing we have in order in this world right now is the Bible, and the truth that comes with it through Yahweh Shem Shai. That's it, all right? And the people that are following the Bible according to Yahweh Shem Shai. That's it. Everything else is out of order. All right, the cars are out of order, the trees are out of order, the parking lots are out of order, the people are out of order, the dogs are out of order, the animals are out of order, the sky is out of order, everything's out of order. And you say, well, the sky's out of order. The sky, it's not in an orderly state as it should be now. There's people that, it's not like the sky has gotten out of order, but they've made it, into a, they got spraying chemicals up there. They're spraying chemicals on the ground. They're spraying chemicals on the plants. They're spraying chemicals on the food. They're putting chemicals in the people. It's everywhere, man. And everything is out of order. It's not in its natural state of harmony. The sky's not in its natural state of harmony. The waters are not in the natural state of harmony. People are not in the natural state of harmony. Neither are the animals. The earth is not at rest. It is. If the earth was a body right now, it would have extreme amounts of inflammation, okay? It would be inflamed and diseased, all right? Dis-ease. When it is out of ease, all right? There's not ease in the world right now. Essentially, the world is diseased, okay? If the world was a body, it would be diseased. It would be sick. It would be malnutrition. It would be malnourished. It would be just disgusting looking. And it is. And I mean, there's still beauty in the world where you look at it, but when you go in the cities, they remove all the grass, they remove all the trees, they remove everything, and they make it, it's a damn shame. It really is. So let's get Revelation 13 and 10, again, about these devils going into captivity. So this is Revelation 13 and 10, plain English, right here. Revelation 13 and 10, you can see it, you can't deny it, right here. He that leadeth into captivity, a person that leads into captivity, if you take slaves, you take them and you lead them in captivity. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. You see it? You got it? Can't deny it. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Well, all nations been enslaved. All nations have done slavery. Not like you devils. Yeah, you're right. The Chinese had slaves. You're right. All right. And a lot of other people had slaves as well. That's true. But they did not do slavery like you did slavery. Okay? Look into slavery historically, the different types of slavery. Remember, now, Roman slaves were allowed to go home. They were allowed to eat. They were even a lot of the time allowed to participate in lightly and differing historical accounts of certain festivals and stuff like that. Now, that was the old school Edomites. Even back then, they weren't doing it quite like it evolved to in the transatlantic slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade was the worst form of slavery that has ever occurred. Okay? It was extreme. It was brutal. It was rampant with weird homosexuality and homosexual acts, all right, that were used for demeaning and depersonifying and dehumanizing and sexually conquering, all right, our people, okay? And these people are weird. They're profane. No one is profane as Esau, right? Who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. So they do the weirdest stuff. They're the weirdest people, and they went all out, okay, when they finally got their hands onto us like they got on the transatlantic slave trade. They did the weird stuff, the creepy stuff, the Mo type body boy shit, all right? The blood clot type shit, just nasty, disgusting filthiness, man. And when we call them out on it, no, other nations that did worse. No, not us. No. Hey, man. Yeah, I sliced their throat open, but I didn't slice their throat open as bad as that guy over there did. See what type of fucking argument that is? It's not a very good... Yeah, man, I set him on fire, but I didn't set him on fire like that guy did. Jeez, that's just inhumane. You're a devil, all right? And yes, you did it the worst out of everybody. You're the devil. Isaiah 14:1, and we're going down through 7. It says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob. Again, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. That's the time to come. And the strangers, now that word strangers goes back to, means heathen. All right? Those that are not, that are strangers to Israel. They're not of Israelite descent. It says, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Go and look those terms up, servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. Now, mind you, you're saying, the Asians, yeah, the Asians are going to captivity as well, all right? They just didn't quite do it quite as bad as you did. Okay, so their punishment's going to be, on the grand scale of things, less severe as you. All right, they're going to have just as bad of a bondage, but they're going to be able to stay around after they go through that. You, Esau, you're done away with. All right, remember, it doesn't. This is a big rivalry. You were our brother, man, and the way you treated us was completely not right. Okay, there was other nations that were, there are other nations. That's one thing, but Jacob and Esau, all right, we're brothers. Okay, and the way you acted was completely wrong. All right, no one is profane as Esau. You can try to say, the Chinese. Hey, no one is profane as Esau. It says in the Bible. No one else. It's you. You're the worst. All right, base man. They're children of base man. It's you. You're the worst. I shall make you low among the heathen. Even among all the heathens, you're small. Okay, the Chinese are better than you. The Arabs are better than you. The Hamites are better than you. The Ishmaelites are better than you. The Elamites are better than you. Everyone's better than you. You're the lowest of the low, the most vile, wicked, and profane, despicable demon beast that has ever lived. It's you. Okay? And they shall rule over their oppressors, and it shall come to pass, and the day of the Lord in the day of the Lord, and that's the time, when the Lord comes back after, during Jacob's trouble and World War III, and saves the elect, destroys the wicked people of this world. Well, if you destroy them, how are you going to have slaves? Some of them aren't going to be destroyed. Some are going to go straight into captivity, just like that. Okay? That's not a form of salvation. You're just going straight into bondage. All right? Congratulations. Go directly to jail. All right? Go directly to slavery. Okay? That's not much of being saved, right? You get freed from the bomb, but you're going straight to the whipping block, man. Chopping block. So it says, and it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord that the Lord shall give you rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. And that's what we're doing. That's what we do here. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. And I didn't finish what I was saying. I didn't finish my point. But yeah, the Lord's going to set up, a new heaven and a new earth where dwelleth righteousness. And that's when our rest starts and your destruction begins. It says, the Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. That's you. You smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. You ruled the nations in anger, right? And when you go away, it says, and that person, right, is persecuted, and none hindereth. What happens after that person is persecuted, right? Verse 7, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. So that person being, the primary one, like it says, the Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. He that ruled the nations is referring to Esau, because Esau is the one who's in rulership. All right, Jacob is the beginning. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that which followeth. All right, so, and you can look that one up yourself. What scripture is that? We'll get it. We'll close off with that. Second Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. It's good area to leave off on. So, Thanksgiving, an annual celebration of native genocide. All right, and regardless if you I didn't do it. One of the guys I'm really cool with at work. He's a cool guy. He's trying to learn more about God, but he long-haired, dreadlock ass Jake, cool guy, down to earth, funny ass motherfucker. He's a nice guy, but I just don't think he's gonna make it. I've been, spoon feeding him a little bit of the truth here and there, and he gets some of it, and some of it he just doesn't get. He's big on that, loving everybody and all that type of shit. So, but I've let him know the true name. He was talking about Jesus, and I didn't say. I didn't necessarily mention Yahweh, but I told him the true name of that is Yahweh Shai. The true name for the Son is Yahweh Shai. And he's like, oh, all right. But so he knows that, and if he ever needed to ask, he doesn't really mention the word God a lot, or say God, but God is a title. It's not like saying Jesus, all right? If he was to ask me or something, I'd tell him, but again, it's at my workplace, so I'm not just going to feed him information that isn't, lining up organically. But he was saying Jesus, and I was like, I don't mess with the Jesus name, because that's not a name, that's a Greek name. And I showed him, I even broke it down to him and everything. There's him and not the other guy, the only guys that I've spoke with that on there, and they a lot of the, more of the esoteric type stuff, right? They're into that. I have one guy, he watches that whole Black to Africa shit. He's a cool guy, but I'm not as cool as with him as this dread-headed ass Jake. I'm not as cool as him with that. He's a cool guy. Those are the only two guys there I could consider myself like cool with, as far as other than coworkers and stuff. There's some coworkers I'm okay with. But those are the two guys when they walk into my business, I like to talk to them and chat to them a lot, because they're cool, older Jake guys. One's like 40, one's like 50, but they're in the world and stuff. But they're cool guys. They're just not gonna make it, I don't think. All right, and if anyone would make it, I think the only guy that would make it would be the long-haired, dreaded-headed guy. And I've tried hitting at him to cut his locks, and he's like, "Oh man, I like my hair." I'm like, "Man, but you look cool with a fro, man. You can get the fro and." Let your beard grow out, and like, yeah, I could, but he probably won't. But that's just his lot, man. And I brought him up because he was all talking about Thanksgiving, and he's like, "What did you do?" I'm like, I don't celebrate the death of my brothers. I was like, oh, what you mean, Native American Genocide Day, or Native American Death Day? And he's like, man, I don't celebrate it for that. I see. He said, I celebrate it differently. I just like eating the food. I make it a different day. I'm just like that. I was like, yeah. I mean, all right. I'm like, you couldn't have done that a couple days earlier. I told him that. I'm like, well, you can do it a couple days earlier. It had to be on that day. And he kind of just laughed, because I know he knows what he's doing is wrong. He tries to cover it up. He was like, he said something about pork. I was like, man, I don't eat no pork. He ain't supposed to be doing that. Because he's talking about getting in the Bible. I'm like, in the Bible, it says you can't do it. It says, yeah, with the Bible, you're not supposed to eat bread with like yeast in it or wheat in it, aren't you? I'm like, well, that's speaking of like leavened breads, and the only time we were supposed to abstain from leavened breads is during Passover. He's like, yeah, but you still eat it, don't you? I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, like, I mean, you're allowed to eat the bread. You just, not supposed to be doing it during Passover if you're keeping Passover. All right, which if you keep Passover, you got to do it correctly, or you're really recommended to just, pray and hope the Lord passes over you on that day. All right. So, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't say anywhere that you can't eat bread with leaven or wheat bread. All right, bread was made a little bit differently back then, but it doesn't say in Leviticus that thou shalt not eat wheat bread, but it does mention swine specifically. But, Jake, I just brought him up to bring that up because you have Jake in the world, I don't celebrate it for the genocide. Why would I celebrate a genocide? I would never do that. I'm using that voice that Elder Manat Zatba uses of GMS South Carolina. Ever since he used that voice just kind of caught on because that's how they talk. That's how they sound to you when they talk. Well, I don't know, man. It's just I'm not celebrating it for that reason. And I was gonna, I'm cool with him enough, but I was like, let me not stir the pot. All right, but I was like, what if they had a, like, would you celebrate if they had a day that a bunch of black people died? Would you celebrate eating cornbread and collard greens on that day? And I was like, let me not stir the pot because I know he'll get pissed off. Not about race because he's cool with me about that type shit. But I don't want to stir the pot with, his celebration and all that because I know he'll feel guilty and get all mad. But I was like, let me not stir the pot. I'm like, I celebrate it for a different reason, though. I know a bunch of slaves were killed on this day, but I celebrate it for a different reason. That's dumb, man. If you celebrated it, you celebrated a genocide. Congratulations. Round of applause. Here, I can't put my other hand together, but hand and leg. Congratulations. You celebrated a genocide of your brothers. That's all it is. It's an annual celebration of Native American, Israelite, really, genocide, okay? And we ain't down with none of that. So that's been the lesson. We're going to go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and, brought you, a little bit more understanding on, that Gadites, all right, so-called Native Americans, and Judites, all right, as well as all the tribes, had a part in all of the wickedness that's gone down and, and in part in the transatlantic slave trade, because we don't know, just because you look one way, don't mean you are who you are. I look like a so-called white person, but I go back to Judah. You have a so-called Mexican person that looks like, and me, I'm so-called Mexican, right? But I look like a so-called white person, but I believe that I go back to Judah. You see how, you can't just, go off of that by looks, because you're like, oh, I'm a white person. Well, if you go back to my bloodline, not on my mom's side, on my dad's side, I go back to being a Mexican, okay? And if you even that, so you're an Escarite. No, I don't believe I'm an Escarite. I believe I'm a Judite, right? So, that was a lot of people. Like, there was a story with that I heard from Apostle Hurricane, not part of GMS nor associated in any way, but that's who I learned from. I recommend you brothers and sisters do the same. You're gonna hear me say that a lot because that's my saying now that I use to let you know that I'm down with those brothers, not as like rolling with them, but that's who I mess with. All right, that's who I learned from. Those are the guys that have the truth. All right, that's who I learned from. Lord willing, I continue to learn from them. All right, I wouldn't recommend going any other camp, okay? But I only say that out of respect because Apostle Hart gave the decree out that I used to give double honors to them, all right, to apostles and elders growing up Millstone. I don't do it anymore because Apostle Hart made that decree. It said he doesn't want that going out no more. And really because a couple bad apples spoiled the whole bunch. All right, you had a bunch of camps that were coming disorderly. So I can't say that anymore. If I could say it, I would absolutely go back to saying it. But until that order is given by the Apostle Har, I'm not going to do it. But I will let you. That's why my saying now is I'm not a part of GMS nor am I affiliated. But that's who I learned from, and I recommend you brothers and sisters do the same. So that's my saying to let you know. So can't give double honors, but I will pass on the respect to them in that regard. So I heard from Apostle, not from Apostle Har, you didn't say it to me directly, but I heard from Apostle Gabar, again, not directly in a video, that there was a brother in the camp that was saying, oh, I'm a Judite, and Apostle Har was saying, nope, you're a Gadite, and kept on saying, well, I'm not, I'm a Judite, nope, you're a Gadite, and come to find out that down through that brother's line, very much is indeed a Gadite. So, but probably thought he was a Judite because of the way he looks, right? and you know, through lineage, and his dad's probably black, so-called his dad's probably black, going back somewhere there's a Native American. All right, remember, we were tussling like that back in the day. We were rolling deep. All right, all of our people. So you're going to have Mexican-looking Judites. You're going to have Chinese-looking Judites because they're heathens. But, you know, you're going to have them because, you know, I mean, us men, we like to get down with all these different flavors, all different sizes. Wait, no, what was it? That Will Smith, Welcome to Miami. Black, white, something to something, all different sizes. Different nations, every different nation, or however it was. However the lyric went, Welcome to Miami. But all different sizes, man. We like our women, so. And, you know, we don't have respect for the heathen women, but we'll get down with them. You know, a little bit of a pump and dump. And, yeah, you know, so. That's just how it is, man. You can't go off of skin color, you know, and you know, for neither the heathen, all right, who you would think would be the heathen, because, again, some Chinese people actually go back to, you know, Jake somehow, all right, because remember, Jake was over there. So you can't just go off of skin color, and you can't do it with yourself. You can't look at yourself in the mirror and go, I look black, so I must be a Judite. Well, you might be. Who do you feel like you might be? You know, we don't really have a definitive way other than just, you know, through the spirit of how we feel, all right? And I don't feel like, you know, my thing was, back in the world, I always had a lot of issues with Issacharites, okay? I always had issues in rivalry. And when I learned about the rivalry between the tribes, that started to make sense. I was like, okay, that okay. But and then, you know, I've always gotten along really, really good with Judite men, all right, and Judite women as well, just like click and just can talk. And then two people that look to be so-called Judites, one of them being a Judite, told me, yeah, you're probably a Judite. All right. So more than likely. So yeah, man. So that's how I got that. And I don't, you know, like I said, you know, you just have to weigh it through the spirit. But hey, at the end of the day, we're all brothers, man. And a celebration of one of our deaths is a celebration of all of our deaths. And we're not down with it. We don't roll like that. So again, anyway, long exit, all right, and a lot of rambling. But Lord willing, this was edifying again. I'm going to go ahead and close out. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Akakwadash. Shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing, Shalom.